open the conversation. So this is the thing I haven't really been doing. I've got this Commonplace book here, Commonplace binder. All right, hello and welcome to the postgrad year. That's what it says at the top. I'm going to set this down now. So this is the Commonplace Binder 101 playlist where we talk about Commonplace binders. Or basically, I just tell you that there are 100 videos in this playlist, and that's a lot. Okay, so why I prepped to share my Commonplace. So why do I have this demo here? Why didn't I just show you the actual real thing? That's kind of weird. Okay, so the thing is, sometimes when people have a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder, in my case, it's a little personal. So it's not necessarily that it's only my thoughts or only one other person's thoughts, but it'd be like if somebody else was looking at your search history, like that might be a little weird. It's not necessarily that you were looking up anything crazy, but it might just be something you don't really want them to see because it's kind of weird. Like it's a private place. It's just weird to look through somebody's notes. So yeah, open the conversation. This is the thing I haven't been doing in the last 3 videos. So I did that before, and I will probably do it afterwards, but for whatever reason, I just kind of skipped it. So I thought it might be because I had been turning my headset off. And so maybe without the noise while wearing the headset, I was thinking about that. I think it's because I just didn't eat food. So what I made sure to do in between the previous video and this video was eat food. And I realized, open conversation, we got to start with something. So, good conversation opener, Commonplace binder. Do you have one? No, nobody. Probably nobody does that, or yeah, I don't know. Maybe they do. Impossible standards. Yeah. So one of the reasons to have a Commonplace is some people have the impossible standard of knowing literally everything about everything. So if I were to share my Commonplace, I might be getting people being like, "Hey, I don't see throw in there." And it's like, what? Why do I need literally everything in my binder? Oh, you didn't pronounce Thoreau properly. At least I didn't say thoroughly. Okay, so the standards might be really high. Somebody might look inside the binder or digital system that I use and might be like, I don't know, man, this isn't good. Why am I looking at this? And that might be kind of stressful. But it'd also be kind of stressful if I shared my personal information with everyone because, I have not the highest standard for myself, but I do want my stuff to be perceived as, medium, or maybe a little bit above medium. I don't necessarily need it to be the absolute best. If it is the absolute best, that's cool. But that's also terrifying because it's like if you're number 1 in something, then, that might be the limit. And it's also terrifying because everybody expects the number 1 person to, enforce their position. And it's kind of exhausting. So if it does the best, it's going to be awkward because there might not be anywhere to climb, and if it does not the best, well, it's like, why is it being shared? Audacious Ideas. So if you're writing in a place that nobody can see, that nobody can look at, it might be some of the dots you connect are very unusual, and then you might come up with some very interesting ideas, or let's just say unorthodox. And so I will be sharing some of those in my 2025 and, this is the 2025 and the 2026 and 2027 playlists, as well as probably some after that, but some of these are going to get a little weird. Like, this playlist is relatively tame, and in this one, I'm basically saying that, it's been a Commonplace book, you could just change it to binder. Doesn't matter. That's not really standard. Mental energy. So I don't really want to worry about the specific, precise terminology of anything. It is good because words mean things, so I should probably say the words that mean the things I'm trying to talk about. But there's a certain point where things can just be kind of exhausting. For example, if you are cleaning a space. If you're going to clean an entire house, do you really have to clean the ceiling in every room before you clean the floor? You know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous to have to clean literally everything all the time. I know that dust is a problem and we got to get rid of it. And I live in a place where the dust is everywhere, not just because I have all this paper, but because I live in a place that just has lots of dust. And I also my room just it gets very, very dusty. And so being lazy about it is pretty much the only option, because I'm just going to go crazy. I'm going to use up all my mental energy if I try to focus on every little speck of dust, because there is so much, and it's like you can establish a regular cleaning day and then special types of cleaning days and dedicate more time to it every day, but it's just, like some things will be dirty sometimes. Like, it can be annoying to fill the dishwasher and then immediately someone puts something in the sink, but that happens because the dishwasher is running, and so it's like that will happen sometimes. But yeah, how does this relate to why I prep to share? Because I don't want to go through my binder showing the thing off and being like, wow, I hope it's the exact right amount of good. That just sounds exhausting. So like I don't have the mental energy to censor the book while I'm going through it. Like that would be crazy. Even though that seems to be the standard thing that everyone does on YouTube. They'll just like add a little page. Sometimes it's basically clear. Sometimes they'll blur it, but they'll forget to blur it. They'll be just showing off like their phone numbers or their super private thoughts, which, it's like it would stress me out working in a place where everyone can see all of my completely unfinished projects or the most private projects that I haven't necessarily planned and prepped to share in that exact way at that exact time. And so the way I could be lazy about that is actually creating an entirely new demonstration, because the demonstration could become a product at some point. The demonstration is a prop that I can carry around that doesn't need to be in a specific place when I actually work on my own stuff. And I don't need to censor it. Like, I don't need to change the wording around. I don't need to, like, cover something up. I don't need to take something out. Like, it's just so much easier to have a demonstration binder. Now, of course, there is a crazy upfront cost, because I basically have to, like, recreate my entire system for the public rather than private use, which is kind of insane. But yeah, learned how to be human. That's kind of what I used my own personal commonplace for, because I grew up in a place where people were expected to be robots that were very capable, and they brought, glory and whatever else to everybody around them. So that wasn't really about being a human. That was like being a magnificent trophy of whoever's parents. And so there were a bunch of people that I grew up with that it seemed like they were maxing out their lives to just be robots. Which was a little weird, because the speakers we had that came to the school would constantly talk about things like AI, because, it was a fairly future-focused school. And so they would tell us to be the most robotic and then also tell us to be the most human. And so I figured if I focused on this, I could come up with a robotic way to, like, be human, which is kind of weird, because it's kind of saying, like, I trained myself like an AI would train itself to be a person. So that's a little weird. But it might be that I was just having a bad time and I was recovering and I was a person beforehand, so I was just relearning what it was like to be a person. I don't know. I think that sort of depends on the person and where they're coming from. But yeah, more with less. So I figured if I was going to recreate this, like in the process of prepping it, I could actually do more with less, because every time I shared a specific page that I added, I could talk about that page and all the reasons why it had to be there. And I figured that would be a lot more useful than just being like, hey guys, I have a thing, let me show you. Because, like, that's one video. But if I add 100 pages, that's 100 videos. Now, I don't think I ended up doing that many. I think I probably ended up doing, like, no, it might have actually been around 100. I don't know how many it was. But I didn't end up following that exact strategy. Good classroom tool. So if I make my own, like, got the demonstration binder, maybe this is a good classroom tool that I can actually push, rather than being like, hey guys, you should distribute my diary. Like, what? Doesn't make sense. The old ways are dying. So I was talking about learning how to be human and how AI related stuff is it's kind of destroying all the old ways. I'm not saying all the old ways were good or bad or whatever, but it does seem like we're just kind of melting through all the old stuff right now. So if people want to do that, I guess they're getting what they want. But it does feel like the old ways are definitely dying. And so one of the ways I think we can preserve the old ways of thinking and the old ways of doing is to record how people actually did this stuff. And so I'm working on this. Somebody else might be working on traditional gardening or bookbinding or whatever else. And if we do all of these things, if it's like one person per task, maybe, not to sound like too Fahrenheit 451-y, but like maybe we can hold on to these ideas and these thought patterns and stuff. And we don't necessarily need to wipe out everything all at the same time when we don't even know if the new technology actually works in the long term. So some people argue about the short term, but we definitely don't know the long term if we're not even sure about the short term. So delayed specialization. So one of the cool things I was seeing when I was reading about this, like, oh my God, like 15 years ago, is this was used by a lot of great Renaissance thinkers, or they used something very similar. And so what they did is they delayed their specialization. So they would learn a little bit about a little bit of everything. And some people will say that this is what college is for, although a lot of other people will say that's very idealistic. You just learn a little bit about everything and become a perfectly well-rounded human being. And it's like, okay, that's nice and friendly, but how do we pay bills? But yeah, if we can delay the specialization for longer, we can learn more of like the broad picture rather than just like the specific thing, like how to build a computer. I don't know what people learn anymore. I'm a YouTuber. No, I don't get paid. So like, I don't know if that counts as a YouTuber. Why? So why did I prep to share my commonplace? Well, okay. So like, not only did I need to make a demonstration binder because I thought it might be an interesting product and a prop and a whole bunch of other things, but because emotionally it's very difficult to think about a place as censorship free and then have another place be censorship only. Like it just feels a little weird. And so like there are a lot of mental things that are going on where I have to divide the stuff in like two different halves. I feel like the camera's been in the wrong spot this entire video because I took it off. I took it off not after the 67th, but after the 66th. So I did the 65th and the 66th, and then I took my phone off, and I was off the stand. I was gonna sit down and just relax because I got so stressed out by that one. But then when I put it back up, I think I moved it a little bit too much this way, and I think it might be a little bit taller now. So, oh well, I guess we'll fix that for the next set. Why? Okay, share. I am trying to share any version of commonplacing that will get pushed. And so by doing this, I believe I'm going to create a whole bunch of different titles that nobody's used before. And then people who make the actual commonplace book videos will have some titles to work with, because it seems like people will make the same standard commonplace book videos, like the same title, sometimes like character for character the same. And like those are the only ones that people watch. And so like if those are the only ones that people want to watch, then sure, go nuts. But I feel like there's got to be something else that people want to watch other than, well, I don't want to like call out those specific titles, but it feels like people are making the same videos, and I want to make people know that like if they are making videos, there are more videos that they can make. So this is 100 videos. I assume 10 of them will do really well, 10 of them will do really poorly, and then 80 will be just kind of average. But if the 10 that do really well are not the exact same as the 10 that normally do well in the category, we will actually have some new videos. And so I'm really hopeful, but I don't know what's going to happen. Journal. Is this a journal? Some people say absolutely not. Also, including journal in a bunch of these videos has been really funny, because the videos that include journal tend to do really poorly. So I assume this one's just not going to do well. Although I did point to the beginning. And so when I point to the beginning, it seems to do better than when I don't point to the beginning and talk about that. So I guess we'll see what happens. But there's also orange here. And it seems like when there's orange in my videos, I need to act more authoritative. And if I do act more authoritative, then it gets more views. But if I don't act authoritative, then it loses views. So it seems to be more of a magnifier of other things going on. And I don't know if I've been super authoritative so far. So it might be that we've been safe because I've mostly been covering it. But I don't know. I don't even know where we are. Talked about journal. Let's talk about how. So how am I dealing with the lighting being different now that my computer monitors? Oh, that's right. Sorry, I haven't recorded in months. So I'm just going to turn the headset on, move the wheel around, turn the headset off, and then the volume will, there we go, re-add the lights. So how do I do this? I mostly just wrote down whatever I wanted on sheets of paper, and then I put them in the binder. I talk about it. If you think that's not a good explanation, go watch the old videos and come back and tell me I'm wrong. So you can tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. Now, if there's a lot of cursing and also slurs and also other things that aren't like YouTube appropriate, I'm not gonna really do anything other than get rid of the comment and the person who left the comment. But, you know, if you have constructive criticism, I will try to apply that. Remember, this playlist is more of a test for the next year. And if this is your first video, you might be like, oh, I watched a trial video rather than the real one. That might be a little insulting. So start. How did I start? The same way you'll start, probably. So if you don't have a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder, and you happen to start with a binder, you just get a binder. This one has rings, which means you're going to need a hole puncher to put paper in, unless, of course, you have clear sheets that you can slide the paper into. Somebody actually recommended that in one of the comments, and I forgot to talk about it. So thank you, random commenter. I don't remember who you are. If you happen to comment on this video, and I remember that it's the same person, then I can probably pin the comment for you. I haven't pinned any comments yet, so I don't know. Maybe that won't happen. I'm going to try to do that pretty soon. But yeah, basically what you do is you just have a contents page. So this is where you just write down whatever you have in the binder. And then what you'll do, so like right here it says March 2024 data page. This says March 2024 data page. So you just write the same thing, and then you write the same thing, and then you write your information. So that's pretty funny. Apparently I had 15 subscribers on 9/15/2023. And then up to 31 on 3/22/2024. That's actually crazy, because we're only a few months after that in the year after that. And it's kind of funny to think that I'm over 200 now, but it was only 31. That's crazy. And that's the sort of thing that's going to happen when you write down stuff in something like this. So if you're writing down a personal thing, it might change. But normally you're going to write down quotes and other stuff from people and then write stuff based on that. Now, I did that for a very long time, and then I got really good at generating my own information. That's such a 2020 way, or 2020's way of saying stuff. Basically, I would just come up with my own ideas based on the ideas I had already seen, but it was like an idea on an idea from somebody else. Personal project. So that's pretty much what all this stuff turns into. You write stuff down, and then eventually, after a long enough time, you're probably going to get really interested in something you're working on, and it's going to turn into a personal project. So maybe not. Maybe you just collect quotes from people, and it looks like just a wall of quotes. But probably you have a little bit of imagination and a little bit of determination to actually do something in the world. And so, like, something will happen. Maybe not. Maybe maybe it'll just be a collection of quotes. I don't know. No value. There we go. No value. That's not a great way to word things. There was a political candidate who came to my door a few days ago that was wording things way worse than that for their campaign. And it was very funny, but I also felt kind of bad. And I wasn't sure if it was my obligation to tell them as a random citizen, like, hey, the wording is like absolutely terrible. So either this is like a secret message or it's just not done properly. But I don't know. Maybe it'd be very valuable for me to share that information with them. Maybe if you're going to run a political campaign, you will also make sure to ask people about the wording. I I don't know. But, you know, I do appreciate people actually walking around and being like, hi, I'm going to do this, and I'm excited to help the community, and I'm going to do this if I can. But it would be a lot easier if people would help me out. So I did appreciate that. The value I got from prepping to share my Commonplace is I got to come up with these 100 video ideas as I was making the other 100 videos at the beginning. So if I didn't make a new book, I was going to have to come up with those immediately. And so those would have been very repetitive, not for me, but for people who watch the platform, because I would pretty much have no choice other than just to like look around and see which videos work. And then I would have the same title, you know, concept problem that I talked about earlier, where like every single person has the same videos. And that might be great when somebody's starting out, but I don't think that's a really long-term sustainable idea. Just, oh yeah, I'm subscribed to 100 channels and I'm just going to grab the title from their top performing video and, okay, now I did my first 100, what do I make next? It's like, well, you better hope they have a good video number 2. Because, you know, if the strategy is just, oh, I look at what everybody else is doing, I don't know. Probably good at the start, probably not great later on. I don't know. Comfort creator. So hopefully, even though my voice is totally dying right now because I've been recording 20-minute videos rather than 15-minute videos today, I'm still doing okay with the comfort creator kind of vibe. I figured prepping to share the Commonplace and the story around that would be a little bit more relatable than just somebody showing up and being like, hey, check out my library. But, you know, people like libraries, so I don't know, that might have worked. Yeah, but also comfort creator because it seems like people seem to watch on Saturdays. So maybe you had a long, hard day at work or a long week and you're just relaxing while listening to my voice. And if you're doing that, thank you. Remove the guesswork. Yeah, so let me know if you're doing that because I'm probably going to lean into that a little bit more. I'm probably going to assume that people are watching on Saturdays. I'm going to drink so much water after this. I'm really sorry about the voice, by the way. No pressure. So there's no pressure to like, comment, subscribe. No, that's so toxic. Yeah, there's no pressure to make your own individual Commonplace and then have another one to present to people. If you just want to show a little bit of your book or binder, you can probably do that. I'm not able to do that. Just emotionally, I can't handle it. So I part of the reason I started it in the first place was because people were telling me things that were just like completely untrue. And so what I did is I was quoting liars, basically. And then I was cross-referencing everything. And so I don't really want to share that because that would be very rude. But also that's just not very friendly. So trying to keep things friendly and trying to remember more and more of the good stuff. So the next video is about Remember More Commonplace. That is an abbreviated title as it is at the end of every video. Those are long words, so I don't know how long the title is, but it might actually be longer than this one, and this one's really long too. So I hope you were able to deal with my voice this week, and you know, this is the final one of the set, so my voice will be different in the next video. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.